This mentality tip will change your perspective of how to play FIFA 22 and in general any FIFA coming up in the future, lads. I'm about to break it down for you.
Griezmann, 3 men around him to somehow find some space. Ronaldo, fantastic, opening the drive back.
He's made himself the tiniest bit of space.
Almost feels like a bit of a taunt. Didn't really go for it. Oh! The display there is absolutely ridiculous. The Elastico on the goal line. On the goal line, the finest.
We talked about Aussie FIFA. He's not here to make up the numbers.
You know what? I'm not going to cut or edit anything, lads. I'm going to have a general discussion about this mentality tip that I have stuck by since at least FIFA 18-19, when I was wanting to become a pro, when I was wanting to play at a high level of FIFA. And this mentality tip really did help me take me to that next level. Now, I've gone over with you before previously, not looking at the squad. Why you shouldn't look at the squad is because when you look at the squad, you have two outcomes. It's either, oh my God, look at his squad. He's got a bronze squad. I'm going to beat him. Or, oh my God, look, he's got R9. I'm going to lose. Those two mentalities are going to actually make you lose in the long run, lads, because you're going to be going into a game expecting yourself to win or expecting yourself to lose. That is not a good thing. Another mentality tip, which I basically had broken down for you guys, was pausing the game and taking, a slight 45-second break to reset. If you're feeling flustered, take a deep breath and just, reset on the game so that you can, come back into it and not be so flustered and under the pump if your opponent is constantly bombarding you with shots and you're worried you're going to concede. This other mentality tip, which I have really found has helped, and this is what this video is about, is actually when you're in the game and you're playing, right? A lot of the time, people will worry about how their opponent is playing, okay? So, for instance, myself, back in the day, right? I knew back in the day that sprinting in the midfield was a very amateur thing to do on FIFA. It's not very skilled. If someone was to sprint in the midfield, even these days in FIFA 22, my conscious assumption is he mustn't be very good, because if you're sprinting in the midfield, you're not a very good player because you don't understand the fundamentals and the basics of FIFA and how they work, and that's simply because when you sprint, the touch between the distance between the player as they take that touch and they're sprinting is so large that they're so susceptible to having the ball tackled off them. And when people are doing that, they don't realise this, and in my opinion, or it's quite obvious, they're an amateur player and they need to work on not sprinting in the midfield. Back in the day, if I saw someone sprinting in the midfield and I knew, right, that was something that would indicate an amateur player, I would all of a sudden, right, start sort of dropping off my game, right? I would sort of not play as hard because I would kind of assume that this guy's not very good and I should be beating him. It doesn't work that way. And I would find myself losing to these type of players time in, time out, game in, game out. And it did frustrate me. A way of overcoming it though, and it took me a while to sort of really change my game to prevent this mistake that I was making, and it was a mentality mistake, was basically not really caring about how my opponent is playing how I play, playing my style, my game style, that's all, and worrying about how I'm playing. Yes, it's good to analyze how your opponent's playing, what he's doing, but not consciously thinking to yourself, okay, well, he's doing that, which means he must be an amateur player. No, right? That doesn't mean anything. If he's sprinting in the midfield, if he's taking a touch to the pressure, if he's performing random skill moves in random areas, that doesn't mean he's a bad player. He could still beat me, right? And that's the mentality trap that people fall into. Someone might cross. They might just run up the wing and cross the ball continuously, just pounding you with crosses, right? That would, obviously, from my assumption, that's not a very good player because he doesn't know what else to do but cross, right? And usually when people get on FIFA and they're pretty much starting out, all they know how to do is cross because that's the only way they can get the ball in the box, right? It's not a very good way of scoring, okay? You're better off working the ball into the box, as a more skilled player would be able to do. So my mentality tip for you guys is to basically not take your opponent's game style and the way he's playing so seriously, and not consciously thinking to yourself, okay, well, he's doing this, which means I should be winning, or he's doing this, which means I should be losing. No, you should be going in with a clear head, and it falls back in line with everything I've said in a previous tutorial on mentality, is the fact that you need to have a clear head in every game you're playing. It all leads to the same conclusion, clear head in every game. And the reason why is because, looking at the squad, you're not going in with a clear head. You're looking at the squad and you're thinking, I'm going to lose or I'm going to win. Again, looking at who you're playing. You might see the gamer tag. You go into the game thinking, I'm going to lose or I'm going to win. Right? You're not going in with a clear head. Okay, this is just, any player, any random player, I'm going to play how I play, as hard as I can, right? And then we're going to, we're going to win. No. And falling back in line with this mentality tip that I've taught you in this lesson, again, I can use an example. You see it a lot. When pros come up against average players, those average players play out of their skin, especially if the average player knows that it's a pro. They play out of their skin. You know why? Because they're sweating so hard. They want to beat him. They're trying so hard. But when that average player comes up against another average player, what happens? They usually, right, play quite average because they assume, they automatically see, this player is like me, or he's doing these sorts of things like sprinting in midfield, which must indicate he's not a very good player, so I should be winning anyway, but I'm not going to play as hard because I'm probably going to win. A lot of the time they don't win, and that's the mentality trap that they fall into. But you see it all the time, even with myself, right? People come up against me, they sweat as hard as they can to try and beat me, especially if you're on stream, right? They'll switch the ball 20 times to try and keep the ball away from you and eventually try and draw you out. I mean, thankfully, I'm at the stage now where that doesn't cause me to concede the mentality trap, and I'm at the stage where if someone's going to try really hard against me, it won't matter. I will more than likely win against them. But I know a lot of you guys have the same trouble as what I used to, and that's why I wanted to make this video, to break it down for you, which is actually, it's a super important mentality tip, lads, and you need to take it into consideration. But that will signal the end of it. Look, follow me on Instagram, TikTok. I'm doing tutorials over there. I'm also coaching one-on-one on patreon.com. Okay, so links are in the description for all of those, lads. But as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash a like, and I'm out. Sayonara, au revoir, adios, salam, ciao. Goodbye.